ganz besonderen Star-Panel mit zwei ganz großartigen Gaststars, die in den allerersten Star Wars-Filmen mit dabei waren und unglaublich klassische alte Geschichten zu erzählen haben und uns über die Zukunft vielleicht auch was zu erzählen haben. Willkommen, Mr. Garrick Hagon! And the second one is why I'm transforming to a robot right now. The man who is the most iconic robot, or one of the most iconic robots that you have ever heard of. Welcome to Mr. Kenny Baker! Experience to have you here both.
Thank you.
How was your trip?
Feeling that. I used to work in Germany way back in the 60s, and I was based in Wiesbaden. We went all around Frankfurt and Mainz and Heidelberg and down to Munich. And that was the area of Germany that I knew most. I went to the north of Germany. I went to the English part of Berlin with a singer, I can't think of her name now. But I enjoyed Berlin. It's nice. I like big cities with a bit of jazz here and there. You know. Is he English? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, good. That's good, isn't it? You go to England and ask if anybody speaks German today. What? Anyway, thank you. So apparently I'm up here for a question and answer. So who do I ask for a question? Anybody? Yeah. There's one over here. Oh, it's got a camera.
We got a roving mic in the audience.
What it is, a microphone in your...
About the questions, we do that in between the panel if you want to. We can also do it at the end. Most important is that we have two microphones in these rows, left and right. And if anyone has a question right now, feel free to ask Kenny Baker. Go to these microphones, make an exception. We do some questions for Kenny in between right now. Is there anybody who wants to ask, has a special question?
And they have to stand up and go to the mic.
Yeah. If not, ihr könnt euch dann überlegen in der Zeit, eine Frage und am Ende des Panels, die letzten 10 Minuten, hoffe ich doch, dass euch einiges eingefallen ist, was ihr uns über den beiden...
And they can also ask me a question if you want to. I'm so glad that Kenny got here because God knows I wouldn't have been able to string 2 words together. And one of my first lines in George's original script was, "Can I go play with the droids?" And I think I was a Padawan Jedi, and then later joined the Sith and went back. But I am so happy to be able to play with this particular droid. He's been a great friend for a long time, and I'm glad to be with him.
You understand it? You can understand it. He did. He speaks English.
You can't understand Canadians. No. You had a very good time in Canada. You told me that.
Canada. I've been to Toronto, Quebec, and Montreal. I would like to go to the west side of Canada. What's that?
Calgary, Edmonton,
Calgary. Calgary, and they had a sign up in Calgary, R2-D2 from there. It did.
Yeah, they need an R2-D2 out there.
And what's the other place out there?
Vancouver? Victoria? Vancouver?
Vancouver, yeah. I had a friend of mine in England called Long John Baldry. And he was a folk singer in England. And he was at the London Palladium. So he must have been pretty good. And I'm watching at the stage door of the Palladium. And I said, let's go to Danny LaRue. It was a, what would you call it? He did his cabaret acts anyway at Hanover. Danny LaRue had his own cabaret club in Hanover Square, just off Regent Street. So Long John Baldwin and me went there, took him over there.
He was a singer, wasn't
Went
he?
in and he said, you can't stay, you have to go. I said, why? He's got sneakers and jeans. He said, so what? Everybody wears sneakers and jeans. Not in this club, you don't. So he kicked us out. What do you know? That's a bit of useless information, isn't it, really? Somebody's died, I think, the Long John's gone.
Long John Baldry.
Yeah.
Well, I can't remember a song he sang. Before my time, Kenny.
Nobody's saying a word. Nobody's saying a word, are they? Come on, well, somebody say something. Ask me a question.
Maybe it's time to tell us some stories about Star Wars and R2-D2. How was it sitting inside R2-D2? How was your view? Like sitting in like a car or a lorry or whatever in this droid? And what was your side? What was the points you had to operate?
I couldn't see very much. I was inside the robot. And I had an opaque window, very big as my hand. And that's all I could see, and it was miles away. It was that shape. So it was further away. But it wasn't easy in that. And I couldn't walk very well. It weighed more than I did. It was about 80 pounds in weight, which I don't know what that is. This is a heavy one.
So it was not very comfortable in the droid?
No, it wasn't. Nothing very comfortable.
Yeah.
Go in there, I'll put the leg in first, and then go that way straight down into the foot, which I had to put one of my own pairs of shoes or boots into the foot, so I had somewhere to put pressure to be able to lift the robot from side to side.
That's where the movement came from.
And when that was up, I moved the foot, and that way I moved the foot. But it took time. It took too much time. And I couldn't really keep up with the speed of people walking normally. So that was a bit of a problem. Nobody thought about that until we got to it. So George said, well, never mind. We'll do most of it, what I do, in a head and shoulders. Here, I couldn't see my feet. So that's the way I got away with it. In the end, most of the stuff I did. But they covered it by putting these guys in as well. And it works eventually, obviously. But it's not as easy as it sounds. It's not very comfortable in there. But then again, I had a seat. If I wasn't working, actually, I sat down in a little seat inside the robot. And then when it's an action, I stood up, and the R2 came up in the shoulder. They had springs, which lifted me, when I stood up, the robot came up with me. So that was a help on that. But it didn't really help me travel any faster. I couldn't move very faster. But they got around it one way or another.
How long would they keep you on the set during the day?
Well, it depended how long it took to get the shot. You know, if it's a busy scene with lots of extras that haven't a clue of what's going on. And they're going to be told, look this way, look that way, look up, look down. You know, everything has to be told for them to do it. And when to do it. And it's a bit of a problem, really. I don't know how they coped with a lot of extras. But it used to take time. The more extras there were, the more time it took. But eventually we got it together, obviously. So it's a better.
Yeah. Like any other actor. And do we have any more questions?
I have. So, what do you think is the secret behind the big success of Star Wars? Do you think everyone was a genius? Everyone was there in the right time?
Everyone was a genius. Not at all. We were all. I mean, the big success as a team. I think as a team, they were a very likable bunch of actors. They were a very interesting bunch of actors who you didn't know. And there's a great feeling between them. I mean, I'm talking about the initial film. But latterly, you could go into all kinds of reasons for the success. Everybody knows the kind of mythological importance of the structure of the story and all that stuff. But basically, it's the characters, isn't it, that attract you to the film. And then secondly, the wonderful technical achievement. But for the first film, I think it was the relationship between the characters. The fact that they had a robot that was almost human, maybe human inside. And, you know, characters that you didn't know the actors, but they were interesting and likable. And they had a good relationship between them, Mark and Carrie and Harrison, and the, you know, and the villains were interesting. We didn't know them too well either, but they all had a vibrant character. And I think that's what started it off so well.
You had been Luke Skywalker's best friend on Tatooine. Can you tell us something about how it felt to be there?
Well, when I first met Mark, he threw his arms around me and said, "Wow, you're my best friend." And I really felt good. I mean, it was nice. We met in the wardrobe department of Angels. Remember that? Well, you probably didn't have to be fitted for your robot, did you? But the Angels was a costumier. And John Mollo, the wardrobe master, was putting my costume for Tatooine together as, you know, in bits and pieces. He found a Russian shirt and put that on, and he found some leather trousers, and they looked good, and boots, and then he found this black cape, and George and I had talked about about the capes, because we talked about Morocco, where I'd been filming, and a cape became part of that costume on Tatooine, which somebody today said, oh, that's one of the best costumes in the first picture, because it just had a romance about it, the shirt, the jacket, and so on. And so it was very exciting that first day when I met Mark, and I was in the wardrobe I saw on the table, I didn't know anything about it, but it was called the Journal of the Wills, W-H-I-L-L-S. And that apparently was one of George's first drafts as a book, or put together as a book. And then I remember Mark coming in and he said, you know, you have the best part. You died. But subsequently, it proved not to, because we didn't know it was going to go on to a whole, you know, series of films in which I would have liked to have lived.
What do you think about your role when you were in the radio drama?
Well, you know, what are you talking about? The German radio? I'm afraid I haven't heard the German.
You don't have any.
No, I haven't heard the German. Some of the actors are here, and I was kind of hoping to hear some of their voices, but I hear. Anyway,
you mean the dubbing voices, right? You mean the dubbing voices?
Oh, the dubbing voices. Oh, the radio drama. Have you done it in German as well?
No, we have it. We only know the English version.
Oh, no. I didn't play in the English version.
And what do you think about it? How was the role?
I played it. I mean, they did it in Hollywood. I used to do a lot of radio, and I direct radio drama and drama. But I didn't do that particular production, but I wish I had. I mean, he sounds very like me, the guy in the English version.
So he did a good job. You liked it when you hear it?
Yeah. Yeah, no quibbles.
And you're doing radiodramas, I've heard, right?
Well, I do audiobooks and a lot of children's stories, a lot of adult stories, and that's part of the way I live. I direct and produce audiobooks. So that, you know, I've done an awful lot of them for my company called the Story Circle. Anyway, enough about me. Come on, Kenny. Tell us. Was it hot in the robot?
And comfortable. Was it hot in the costume? Your favorite question, maybe. Was it hot in the costume?
Yeah.
The classic!
Everybody asks me that.
So, did they change anything to make it comfortable for you?
There we are, out in a desert, in North Africa, in a robot. And he says, was it hot?
Yeah, comfortable, like putting a poster, for example, inside R2D2 or something to read or something to make
Actually, it wasn't as hot as it was outside. Because inside the robot, I was insulated by the robot. The sun was outside, and you couldn't touch the outside. Sometimes it was about 120 degrees or something outside in Tunisia, North Africa. And but all I wore was shorts, and sandals, and a t-shirt, and that's all I had on really. And in there it was fine, you know, not too bad at all, because the heat was outside. But eventually, of course, everything gets hot because you're in a desert. You know, the whole place is hot. Warm, the air, everything's hot. But you get used to it after a while, and you just have to put up with it. What can you do? But they were okay. You know, I get tea breaks and stuff like that. Just drink a cup of tea, sitting in the robot, and put the head back on again. And just all to do is take the head off and hang it on the back of the robot on a hook, on a big hook like this. Put the head on it. And all the cables and the electrics are connected. And then when they said, right, action, get ready for action, and they put the head back on me. And then when George said, right, action, then we go for the script. But I didn't have any talking parts, it was just the robot that had, as you know. So I didn't have to have any script. Everything is, well, as long as I was looking the right way at the right time. And George said, look left, look right, look up, look down. That was about all the script I had. Which was easy enough to follow. But yeah, it was hot. But everybody gets hot in a robot, don't they? Oh, really? Or in you know, out in a desert. But it was beautiful, I enjoyed it. We had some great fun. Good movie out there. An oasis, a place called Tosur. Tosur, Tosur. We had a 5-star French cuisine in a beautiful hotel with marble toilets and bathroom, showers. Beautiful. Now listen, I'm only just arrived, but it was a beautiful hotel. And then you step out of the grounds of the hotel, and it's poverty. They have got absolutely nothing. And they're trying to sell you bits of vegetables that they've grown out in the desert, of vegetables, and mainly eating. But they couldn't, they didn't have them stacked in the shop. It was just on the floor, on the paving. I mean, there was no paving stones. So it was on just the floor. Food to eat. It was just unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. They must have wondered what the hell was going on. The head of what do they call them? The guys that were in charge of the village. The head man with the white, whoever he was, he had a good laundry. He was always clean and white. And he was looking around, and everywhere with all these robots and different things. He must have wondered what the heck was going on. What's going on here? But he never said a word to any of us.
Kenny, I was just going to say, you know, things. I went back there to Jeremiah and we stayed in a hotel rather like that to do a documentary for Jason Joyner with Gary Kurtz. And Gary interviewed me in the mosque on the set of where we did the scene in Tatooine, the cut scene. And then we went to the desert, down into the desert, near a place called Tatooine, Teruan or something like that, far down into the desert. And out of the desert, when they found out that we were there doing a documentary about some of the scenes in Star Wars, out of the desert came little boys in the jalaba, holding little bits of styrofoam, and saying, "This is a bit of the land speeder." Only this, and they had a little tiny bits, and then Jason would buy those little bits for 2 dirham, or give the boys. So the boys around that area are probably no richer, or they're probably just as badly off, but they have found a way of selling. Maybe some of you have been down there buying these little bits of styrofoam that they say are parts of Aunt Baruch's house or the land speeder, and they just came out of the desert. It was like Lawrence of Arabia being followed by all the troops of followers. It was wonderful.
In between, are there some people who have a question for Kenny?
Still heavy.
Here, I see 2 people who have a question for Kenny.
Good evening, sirs. I'd have several questions for Kenny Baker.
Yeah.
I'd like to know if you acted in Willow. I guess it's a Lucasfilm also. I didn't Google, sorry for that.
Acted by who?
The Willow.
Willow, yeah.
Did you act there?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, with Warwick Papers.
Okay.
In Willow.
Then,
I was only one of the village, the tribe of...
oh, I didn't recognize that. I liked the film also.
I don't even know what my name was, but I was...
Sorry?
Yeah.
And
That's better, thank you. Yeah, that's great. That's much better.
And once upon a time, on set from Star Wars, did you fall in love with Leia, Princess Leia?
Yes.
She's cute. Yeah? Yes? Okay. You liked her, really?
But what would you think?
Huh? Do you meet her sometime?
Well, I'm not gay, that's for sure. That went down well, didn't it? Actually, I've got 2 sons. My wife and I got married in 1969.
Oh, that's before.
Way before. And then, before what? Anyway, we got married in 69, and I was doing the cabaret with my act, with Jack Purvis. And we went around the world, a couple of times. Went to Australia and New Zealand. And then Jack, unfortunately, had a car accident in his drive at home. And the car went into reverse. And he tried to stop it physically. And it took him through the gatepost. And he broke his neck. And that paralyzed him. Completely paralyzed. You wouldn't wish that on your worst enemy. It was horrendous. Anyway, poor Jack was in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. I've only got this because I'm lazy. Because my legs don't want to walk. They do walk, but only just.
You healthy? What about your health nowadays?
What do you say?
Are you you are healthy? I hope you stay healthy. I don't know the English word correctly. I think.
That's good. He is healthy.
I can walk.
Okay.
Oh yeah, just about. But it takes me time. You know, I slowly.
Long live.
Yeah, and then I get moving eventually. It's okay. I'm not completely chair-bound. I can get up and I can walk. It takes me time. Right, have you seen Darth Vader? Yeah, Dave Prowse. He's got crutches from his elbow down to the floor, and he's struggling to move anywhere. Same as me. You know, when you get to a certain age, everything starts to back up. You know, one way or another. You can't help it. It's just getting old, and there's not much you can do about it. But so I must stop.
My best wishes.
Yeah, you know, there's nothing you can do. I might as well stop moaning about it. There are lots of people a lot worse off than I am, you know, physically in a bad state. But there's nothing you can do about it, so. But yeah, Dave Prowse is still staggering around the world like I am. Chewbacca, he's out in Dallas, in Texas, and he's had a lot of knee problems. But he always had problems from the word go. You know, he was always in a pretty bad state. But he got going eventually. But there's Dave Prowse and me, and then since my wife died, I've got a girlfriend from London called Valerie. Valerie.
No, Kenny.
You're lucky guy.
Poor Val, she's about 15 years younger than me, I think. And she fell over in England. We were in a hotel, a bit like this. And I'm talking away to her, and I looked away, and I went back, and she'd gone. Where's she gone? She fell over. I didn't know she'd gone. And she's heavier than me. And there was 3 or 4 Indians trying to pick her up. And you try to pick a lady up, what do you grab hold of? Anyway, but she's not as well as she used to be. And so she couldn't come on this trip, because she has a son who also has problems. And I won't go on about that. So that's why Andrew, who's with me on these trips now, he looks after me and sorts me out and got this wheelchair for me, and I have to go everywhere. With Andrew, he's in England we call him a carer. He's my carer, looks after me. He dresses me and undresses me and everything. Yeah. Not that I can't do it, but it takes me
Daily.
It takes me forever. That's right.
Thank you very much.
Michael Begera aus Köln. Mr. Baker, nice to see you here, and I bet you're the only person in this room who has been on the set of episode 7. So I wanted to ask you about your personal best and worst experience on the set.
I haven't been there yet. You mean the new movie?
Yes.
No, I'm in it.
Yes.
Yes.
We know.
But I don't know. I've got a publicity like this in London next week, but I don't know much about the film because I haven't started. And they said to me, don't say anything to anybody. But I don't know anything anyway, so...
Okay, thank you very much.
You don't want to know about it anyway, because it would spoil it, wouldn't it? When you go to see the film, hopefully, you'll be surprised. And it'll be a nice surprise. But I'm sure George Lucas knows a lot more about what's going to happen next than I do. So there you go. But we're still going around the world. I must have been around the world twice. From here to Australia, New Zealand, Hawaii, back to America, back to London, and then around Scandinavia, and Germany, Holland, Madrid.
Kenny, what do you think about the German fans?
The German what?
The German Star Wars fans. What do you think about them? How are they? Can you explain how you feel about the German Star Wars? Are they different?
Oh, there's German fans, did you say?
Yes.
Oh, right, well, yeah, great, that was fantastic. We just came on, and you gave me a fantastic round of applause, and I thank you very much, because it's nice to hear people being happy, hopefully, and I hope we can do a good job for you. But I'm sure it will be a good film, because the first three, to me, were the best. But the second three, up to episode 6, the younger generation don't know about it, the first three. So they thought the second three was still good. You know, they still enjoyed it. So let's hopefully the next three will be also very good for you. I'm going to enjoy watching it. That's if I live that long, you know. Because I was 80 last year. In August, I was 80 years old, and everyone says, well, you look well. I said, well, I feel fine. I don't feel as though I'm 80. I feel as though I'm about 50. But, you know... You see, you can't do what you used to do. What did I used to do?
I have a question for both of you. How did you both come into acting? Tell us about how did you become an actor?
Okay, Kenny? Can I was at a drama class and I got cast in a play when I was about 11. Richard III in Canada, and it happened to be the opening of one of Canada's best theatres. And I got to play the Prince of Wales, and Richard III was Alec Guinness. So that was my first major part as a young actor, or a young child, a kid at school. I worked on the radio when I was about 6. We had a program on the radio, but that's all I'd done, mainly radio. In a program out of Toronto called A Doorway to Fairyland. Now don't say anything, Kenny. Okay? And we were just little kids. We'd take off our socks, we'd come to the microphone, and we produced we acted in a play for half an hour every Saturday. Anyway, as a result of that, I kept on drama, and I went to Stratford, and I played with Alec Guinness, who didn't really like children very much. I don't think he liked me. I kept stepping on his first laugh in the play. And he didn't really enjoy that, because he thought Richard III is an evil character, but he should have a laugh right at the beginning of the play to the audience get the audience on his side, and he was right. But I kept, my line was, what did you say? What say you, Uncle? And so he'd said something which got a laugh, and I said, what say you, Uncle? Too quickly. And he told me off, and he said, if you do that again, you're out. So I learned very quickly not to cut a line or cut a laugh of Sir Alec Guinness. And then later on, I met Sir Alec again on stage with Anthony Daniels, who's just arrived somewhere in the building. And Anthony took me over to see Sir Alec. And he said, Garrick, this is Sir Alec. And I sat down beside him, like about where Kenny is now. And I said, well, Sir Alec, I've actually met you before. I was at the Stratford Festival with you. And I thought, well, he'd start to talk about the Stratford Festival and all about his experiences. And he said, that was a long time ago. and I've learned not to come up to another actor and ask any questions until they talk to me.
Yeah, great Alec Guinness. I was in Toe Zero, I was saying it earlier, and I wasn't filming on this particular day. So I thought, I'll have a walk around the local town and see what goes on. And I went through the main gate onto this so-called street, and Alec Guinness came along in a Mercedes, and he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm just going for a walk. He said, well, we're going to go out and see a, what do they call those clusters of palm trees? Oasis. We're going to go to see an oasis out in the desert. Oh, I thought, well, that's good. And he said, want to come with us? I said, yeah, okay, I'll come with you. So I got in the back of the car, and off we went to see this oasis. And we got out of the car, and I got back a bit just to get some photographs. And Alec was down there in the and his wife came out and was sketching or drawing with a pencil or something. And this Arab saw her doing it, and he ran up over the sand, and he grabbed hold of it, and he ripped it up. Whatever she was drawing, he ripped it and threw it away. And they don't like it. The Arabs don't like you taking pictures with cameras or drawing them. They're not supposed to reproduce.
And that's right. I did a film. That's interesting because I did a film for a whole year in Morocco and Libya. And I learned the one phrase I learned, one of the phrases I learned was, Ana altakita la kasura. May I take your photograph? But you're right. I mean, you had to ask first.
I like it. I don't like it. But anyway, Alec Guinness was lovely, you know. And we first met him on the aeroplane in London before we flew out to Africa. So when we get to Africa, we got in the hotel, and I said to Jack, my partner, what did you say to Alec Guinness? And he said, well, I went up to talk to him, and he went, get out of my way. Like that, you see. So, you know, Jack, my partner, was always out for a joke. But anyway, about 3 months later, we were in the desert again. And I was down in the bottom of this cliff, and we were all over the place. And Jack and I were sitting there, watching them filming. We weren't actually filming at the time, but we were watching them. And Alec Guinness was working away with Mark Hamill and Carrie and whoever, I forgot what they were called now. And somebody said, cut. So they stopped filming. Alec Guinness turned around, and he started to walk towards us, Jack and myself. And as he got, we were sort of, where's he going? And then he got closer and closer, and then just as we were about to move, he said, get out of the way. And he remembered it from a month at least, and he got us like that, just like that. That nice guy. And we said to him eventually, do we call you Sir Alec? He said, oh, no, just call me Alec. That's my name, Alec. But it was nice, you know, he didn't want to lay on the word sir all the time. But a lot of people have made sir now for nothing at all. The value of it hasn't seemed to stay the cause. But never mind, we're lucky we've got somebody like the Queen, to make people sir, and knighter with a sword, you know, on the shoulder, like that way and that way. Norman Wisdom. Do you remember Norman Wisdom?
10 minutes are left. It would be, if anyone has wenn jemand eine Frage hat, sorry, I have to do it in German, wenn jemand eine Frage hat, die letzten 10 Minuten unseres Panels sind angebrochen, dann kommt bitte nochmal nach vorne und stellt eure Fragen. Da sehe ich jemand auf der linken Seite, der zum Mikrofon kommt.
Hi, it's a pleasure for me to meet you.
Thank you.
And I have a question for both of you.
Yeah.
What was the funniest moment for you at the sets of the films?
What was the what?
The funniest moment.
Finest moment.
The funniest.
Funny.
The funny, yes, the funniest moment.
Funniest moment.
On set of the Star Wars movies.
Yes.
I can't remember what.
So many.
I mean, most of the funny stuff happens off-set. I mean, you know, the jokes on set are pretty few and far between, right, Kenny? I mean, you don't burst into but with Mark, we had a lot of fun off the set. I mean, we did things we shouldn't have been doing, like going riding on horseback on the beach when Mark was the star of the film, and we were racing up and down the beach in Germany. But that wasn't actually funny.
I don't remember one funny moment, really. I mean, you're there, you're making a film, and it's not funny. It's you're making the film, and time is money. And if you start fooling around and thinking you're being funny, it's not really funny. It's wasting everyone's time. They're acting. It's not a comedy. And I don't remember anything that's a comedy.
I know. I was on a film once with Rutger Hauer, and Rutger Hauer got all dressed up as this French reporter, came on the set and did a whole number of it. It wasn't. He thought it would be a riot, but the director, everybody was fuming. We were being held up while Rutger did his act. You know, no, you've got to be pretty careful, especially in my position. I was just playing a little part.
Well, the only thing that sometimes I'll be on the set in the robots, and George will go, cut. Okay, take 5. So everybody disappeared for 5 minutes. And I didn't know I'm in the robot. I said, where have they all gone? And they forgot me. They went for a cup of tea or whatever. That didn't often happen. It didn't. Usually somebody was looking after me. You know, there was somebody, like there is now, looking after me, making sure I don't do the stupid. and let the side down. No, but I was in that robot and I couldn't move until somebody took the head off. And then I couldn't get out anyway until they lifted me out. Because I was really in that. And once you're in, you're in. There's no way out.
Haben wir noch eine Frage?
Thank you very much.
Okay, pleasure.
Gibt es noch eine Frage? Da hinten sehe ich noch jemand. Ja, die Dame in Weiß. Wie ist dein Name?
Sandra.
Sandra,
I have a question for Kenny. Anthony Daniels is coming, and I'm just wondering if you still have a special connection to him because you filmed so much together, and are you still friends? And are you happy to see him? Do you see him just at conventions?
He doesn't want to speak to me. And I don't think he wants to speak to anybody, really. But you'll find out, when he does speak, he's very articulate, very English, perfect English. He speaks very well. And we're not enemies, we're not falling out with each other. I mean, he's a nice guy, basically. But he just doesn't want to speak to anybody. Unless it's like yourself.
I thought he'd invite me to dinner tonight. I thought I'd have dinner with him tonight.
Yeah, he's winding me up all the time, isn't he? No, but he's okay, Anthony. He's a very lucky man, to be honest. He's very lucky. Oh, aren't we all? We're all lucky. You get into a decent... I mean, I did other things apart from Star Wars. I did Amadeus, Mona Lisa, Hunchback of Notre Dame. What was that one about? I've forgotten the number. What else was I in? Amadeus.
What about Amadeus?
That's about Amadeus, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Mozart.
In Prague. Mozart. I'm trying to think of the name Mozart. I'm getting old, you see, and the memory goes when you get older. But I did it on Time Bandits. Anybody see Time Bandits? And I played Fidget. Fidget the Midget. That was a good for Terry Gilliam and the Monty Python team. And what's his name? The tall guy with the long legs.
In the Time Bandits? Oh, John, please.
The big guy with the long legs. Yeah. Well, he was in that front of that hotel there. He was the manager of the hotel.
My memory's going too. I'm getting too old. My memory's going too.
The time is over, but maybe there is time for one little question from this man on the right side. Wie ist dein Name, bitte?
Nikolai, I'm pleased to meet both of you, but maybe then I only pose one question to Garrick. You told us that you are doing audiobooks, and I already had the chance to listen to part of your works, and it really sounded well. And I wonder if you have still one favorite part you would like to do in an audio book as a voice actor.
Oh, as a voice actor, because although I've read about 200 myself, but I like directing. I've just directed, I've been directing, and I'm doing one right at the moment, which it's a very disturbing book, but it's a very wonderful book by Primo Levi, and I'm afraid it's about German history. But it's a wonderful account. So, as an actor, though, I do a lot of James Patterson. It's terribly bloody and dirty, but thrilling, because I like doing all these crime novels. But my favorite book in the past has been Huckleberry Finn, Mark Twain. I love reading Mark Twain, and he is very funny and he's very wise. So I've done Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer, and they're my favorite. My second favorite would be The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck, which is a tale about the Depression in the 1930s. And that's about the best book I think I've read, along with Huckleberry Finn. But I don't know, I prefer directing now, directing other actors. So I've done Ian McKellen, who you all know from Gandalf, and Ian's done a series with him. I've done one called Wolf Brother. And I was just talking to somebody just a minute ago about my production of Philip Pullman's The Golden Compass, or his Dark Materials, which has you would have in Germany. And that's my favorite directing job, because I had 29 actors and we did it. It's about 40 hours long altogether, to 35, something like that, with Philip narrating and all these actors. So I'm really keen on doing good material like that. But thank you for mentioning the audio.
Our escort has arrived, our artists from the left and right. Thank you for the wonderful time we had together, for all the questions you answered. It was a pleasure to have you here. Garrick Hagon and Kenny Baker. Give a song. kann. Es wird eine tolle Gelegenheit sein, jetzt Autogramme von Kenny Baker zu erhalten.